Hello and welcome to Granada Reports.
Hello, thanks for your company. Here's what's coming up this evening.
64 days after setting off in the $250,000 race for charity, Oldham Athletics owner rows across the Atlantic for the second time.
This should be the world's toughest anthem. There's nothing to be harder than that.
Rochdale remembers. Hundreds gather to say a final goodbye to veteran MP Sir Tony Lloyd, who died last month.
The amount of people that are here today shows the breadth and support that he had, both as a family man but also the political giant that he was, and he crossed dividing lines. He brought people together.
A mother's pleas to help her daughter in prison. Annalise took her own life. Her family say not enough was done.
Introducing Rhea, who's using Bollywood and Taylor Swift to influence her music.
And in the weather, more rain underfoot but mild and staying that way for at least the next 5 or 6 days. However, there is a lot more rain in the forecast over the weekend, turning windy as well on Saturday night. All the details coming up.
So please do stay with us. But first tonight, he was thrown from his boat and capsized 5 times. But Frank Rothwell has beaten his own world record by rowing across the Atlantic for the second time.
The Oldham Athletic owner set off from the Canary Islands on December the 13th as one of 10 solo rowers taking part in the Atlantic race from La Gomera to Antigua in the Caribbean.
Well, it took him 64 days and the row wasn't without its challenges and even set a few hearts racing when he drifted off course, only to admit he'd fallen asleep.
In a moment, we'll hear more from Frank after this report from David Chisnell.
A hero's welcome for a truly heroic feat. At the age of 73, Frank Rothwell has broken his own world record to become the oldest person to row solo across the Atlantic.
Well done, Frank, great job!
After 64 days, 7 hours and 53 minutes at sea, Frank celebrated his 3,000-mile journey with a hug from his wife Judith.
There was times when I did consider whether it was the right thing to do. I felt I've lost all my strength 2 days ago. When my family were here, I really wanted them to be here, and I'm so happy they're here.
Reunited with his family, Frank today was catching up on his other love, Oldham Athletic.
Are you going to keep the beard?
As their owner, his epic adventure has brought pride to the football club and community.
Well done, Frank! Hi Frank, we're incredibly proud of your achievement. Everybody at the Community Trust can't wait to welcome you back at Boundary Park. Well done.
Congratulations, Frank! Yay!
Well done, Frank, on everything you've achieved, and can't wait to see you back at the club soon.
Well done, Frank! Yes!
Hi Frank, thank you very much for all what you've done for the Alzheimer's Society. Thank you and can't wait to see you soon.
Superhuman effort. I think he's given everyone a massive sense of pride to be associated with Oldham and the football club.
Unbelievable achievement for the age that he is. To have previously already done it, to want to do it again.
Incredible, undoable. Only for somebody with the spirit that he's got. But he's doing it for a great cause, and we have to mention it, that dementia, it's something that Frank's very passionate about.
Well, Frank's row has raised an incredible £280,000 for Alzheimer's Research UK. It's a charity close to his heart after his brother-in-law and best friend died from the disease.
Frank is an absolute legend. It's such an incredible and powerful mission. You know, we exist to accelerate progress for a cure. Frank named his boat for a cure, and that's what we're here to do.
Oldham are rightly proud of their owner's achievements, and at next Saturday's game, their bearded hero in a flat cap will be the star at a sellout homecoming. David Chisnell, ITV News, Oldham.
Yeah, superhuman effort indeed. Well, Frank joined us from Antigua early, and we started by asking him whether it had sunk in yet.
I'm the oldest person to row across any ocean solo, and that's a major achievement.
It is, but it's your second time, so how did it compare?
Well, this time was much harder than last time. The weather conditions on this trip were much different to last time.
You've said this is more challenging. Tell us about when you got thrown out of the boat.
A big wave came and smashed into the side of the boat and sent me flying over the side. But luckily, not luckily, I was attached, which we were always attached to the boat. And so I was in the water. I lost my glasses. I lost my hat.
Judith, this is all very nail-biting stuff. Frank capsized 5 times. There was no support boats with him for this whole expedition. What was it like seeing Frank for the first time in 9 weeks?
Very emotional, because when you've already been through, just relieved to see him come round the headland.
And Judith, do you feel as though you've been through a marathon yourself? What was it like when he went off course and you couldn't get in touch with him?
Well, that was funny. Well, it wasn't funny. But, no, yeah, there's the tracker that we track him on. And I got up in the night and just seeing how many miles he got to go. But luckily, that particular time, I didn't look at the map. Or otherwise, I think I would have really panicked. He'd fallen asleep, like in a deep sleep. And he was heading for the shore, like about a mile off. Otherwise, he ended up in the next harbour or on the Sound.
A relief indeed. Frank, you've also had some celebrity endorsements. Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhenney, the owners of Wrexham Football Club, have made a donation to Alzheimer's Research UK. Just remind us how that all came about.
Ryan and Rob own Wrexham, and to be honest, I've never seen Ryan. I've never seen anything he's in. I just don't. I've no idea what it looks like at all. So somebody was filming me, like everybody's always filming me, and I said, "Who is this Ryan Reynolds? What does he do?" You know. And they made a generous donation to Just Giving, and we really appreciate that. 1 in 2 of us is going to be directly affected by dementia, and anything we can do to find a cure.
In Judith, you didn't have Christmas together. You weren't able to celebrate New Year together. So, what can Frank expect when he gets home?
Oh, he loves a turkey dinner and a fishy salad. So we will be doing, I think, next Sunday a Christmas dinner for him.
Yeah, see, I hoped that Judith would have plated me up a Christmas dinner and brought it out here, so I could have had it today, but no, she hasn't done that. She's a failure.
Well, enjoy your Christmas dinner and your big celebration. I'm sure the team will be backing you as well.
Frank and Judith, great to see you both. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much.
Well, from one hero of the community to another, seen by many as a hero in his. Hundreds of mourners attended the funeral of veteran Labour MP Sir Tony Lloyd.
The 73-year-old, who was first elected in 1983, was working until a few days before his death from leukemia.
Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer, Deputy Leader Angela Rayner and former Prime Minister Gordon Brown were among the many who gathered to say farewell to a politician described as Mr Greater Manchester. Claire Hannah reports.
It was a private service with MPs from across the political divide arriving to pay their respects, including former Labour Prime Minister Gordon Brown and current Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer. Sir Tony Lloyd died last month at the age of 73 after a life of service which started in 1983 when he was elected Labour MP for Stretford. Today, at a requiem mass for him at a church in Stretford, the place he was born, Deputy Labour leader Angela Rayner said in her eulogy his dedication to public service knew no bounds.
I wouldn't have missed it. You know, Tony was such an important role model for me and for a lot of trade unionists and people of the Labour movement coming forward and his constituents, you know. And he crossed dividing lines, he brought people together.
Well, I've been in national politics for 32 years now, and I've known Tony all of that while. And during that period, Tony's been nothing other than kindness. Yes, we were on different political pages, but we were on the same page when it came to doing good for the people that we represent in the country at large. Tony was actually loved by all sides of the House, and he's going to be sorely missed by politics generally.
Well, Tony was fantastic. He was my predecessor as the MP for Manchester Central. He was a great friend, great man. Had huge humour and commitment to Manchester and the people of Manchester before he then went on to Rochdale, and I know him and his family really well and just wanted to pay my respects.
He served Labour at every level, so it's right that the Labour family at every level turns out in honour of him from
Sir Keir Starmer downwards. Tony stood out as somebody who did things in the right way, in the old way, you might say, and I think the turnout today kind of speaks to that. You know, people connected with it. He represented something that perhaps we've lost and we need to get back.
Not only was Tony a giant of politics, he was a dad and a granddad. After the service, his family asked people to continue holding him in your hearts, as he will be forever in ours. Claire Hannah, ITV News, Stretford.
Some lovely tributes there. To other news tonight, a 5-year-old has suffered life-changing injuries after being attacked by a dog in Rochdale. The boy was rushed to hospital for treatment after the assault on Broad Lane last Sunday. The dog has been safely recovered by specialist police officers and is not believed to be an XL bully. No arrests have been made by Greater Manchester Police.
Now, the mother of an 18-year-old who took her own life in prison says her daughter should never have been in jail in the first place, and she begged for help for her mental health.
Annalise Sanderson was found dead in her cell at Style Prison in Winslow in December 2020. She had a history of self-harming, and her mother says if she'd been given better ways to cope, she could still be here.
Well, ITV reporter Amy Welch joined me in the studio earlier to explain more. So, Amy, talk us through the background of this case.
Well, Gamal, Annalise Sanderson was only 18 when she was sent to prison. She'd been trying to harm herself at a petrol station and had attacked the emergency worker who tried to intervene. That was back in 2020, and as a result, she was given a 52-week jail sentence. But 6 months later, she was found dead in her cell. And her mum, Angela Gray, feels strongly not only that she was let down by mental health service, but also that she shouldn't actually have been in jail in the first place. She told me how she struggled with her mental health from a young age. She first attempted to take her own life at the age of just 9, and her mum really does feel that a psychiatric hospital would have been a better place for her. Now, 8 days after she arrived at Style Prison, she was actually removed from Suicide Watch. But Mum says she repeatedly called the prison raising concerns and that those concerns were ignored. And on the 22nd of December, she was pronounced dead in her cell. 3 days earlier, she'd been completely discharged from the mental health team at the prison. And here's her mum telling me just how let down she feels.
She was screaming from the rooftops for help. She was asking for help. I was asking for help for her, and she was just ignored. I think if she was given the right mental health support, that it could have helped her give her better coping mechanisms rather than turn into like self-harm or suicide. They could have, you know, give her tips and ideas on what to do if you feel like this and what to do if you feel like that, but she wasn't given that intervention, she wasn't given that chance.
Well, Annalise is one of 11 self-inflicted deaths at HMP Style since 2007, more than any other women's prison, and she was the youngest woman to die in prison in the last 20 years. Rates of self-harm in women's prisons across the country are at a record high. Now, we've spoken with Charlie Taylor, who is the Chief Inspector of Prisons, and he believes that it is care, not custody, that a lot of these women need.
Prison is not a mentally healthy environment. This is not an environment, by and large, where people's mental health improves. It's in many cases an environment where people's mental health deteriorates, particularly, as we found depressingly often, that people are locked up in segregation units, and these are often dark, dingy, often underground cells where staff, again, are doing their best, but it's not an appropriate place to keep someone who's ill.
Amy, have things at women's prisons improved since Annalise's death?
Well, an inquest into Annalise Sanderson's death concluded that although there were failings in her care, there have been significant improvements since. Indeed, the mental health budget at HMP Style has tripled to £1.5 million, and the Ministry of Justice tell me they're committed to transforming mental health support and offering tailored round-the-clock care, extra face-to-face time with specialist staff and improved self-harm training for all front-line officers. They say their thoughts remain with Annalise Sanderson's family, and they add that the number of women in prison has fallen considerably since 2010. They add that they're committed to investing millions into community services to steer female offenders away from jail and to help them get their lives back on track. But of course, for Annalise Sanderson's family, that will be little consolation.
Amy, thank you. Amy Welcher reporting there. There is much more on that story coming up on the evening news after this.
Now to the new Rugby League season, and tonight sees St Helens, Salford and Leigh kick off their Super League campaigns. The team they're all trying to catch are the reigning champions Wigan, starring the reigning Super League man of steel, Bevan French. He says the Warriors are well prepared for the new challenge of a title defence.
You want to just approach the season and of wanting to learn and get better every week, don't you? So nothing really changes in that mentality. I guess another thing is people might say you become the hunted now, but I feel like ever since I've been here, no matter who you play, you know, they want to beat Wigan, so it's nothing really changes on us.
Getting that winning feeling. FOW, sponsors of the Granada Sport Report.
Now, this week has been an anxious one for Everton as the club awaits the verdict on its appeal against a 10-point deduction. That's due next week. So what better way to take out some frustration than to lace up the boxing gloves? Mike Hall joined two Blues heroes as they helped celebrate a special birthday.
We knew they were good with their feet, but Everton's Lewis Dobbin and Ben Godfrey are pretty useful with their hands too. The Premier League stars joined in with youngsters at a boxing class run by Everton in the community. They're both big fans of the sport, but for Ben, it could so easily have been his career.
There was a time where I was boxing and training probably equal amount of times throughout the week, and then I had to make the decision to jump over to football. I did get asked to fight actually, but then yeah, made that switch to football, and so boxing then after that just became more of a hobby.
And that's what it's become for these teenagers. They all live within a stone's throw of Goodison Park, but never dreamed they'd get this close to their heroes.
I done the pads with Godfrey, like he was on the pads, I was on the gloves. Don't get me wrong, he's not the best on the pads, like, but he's good on the gloves. And yeah, it was great to do it with him. He's a nice lad as well.
I've got some feedback for you. Good on the gloves, not so good on the pads, one of the kids said.
I can accept that. I can accept that, yeah.
After dodging the punches, they were soon on the ropes in a question and answer session.
What was it like when you scored against Chelsea?
What's Sean Dyche like in the changing room?
Who's the best player you've both played against?
There was some tough questions asked there as well. One of my favourites was, what time do you guys go to bed?
Yeah, there's a couple interesting questions to be fair, but it's nice to see them not be shy around us and really say what's on their mind, so it's nice to see how they think of us and what they want to know about us.
And it's 10:30 if anybody's interested, isn't it?
Yeah, 10:30.
How much do you enjoy these moments with the kids in the community?
Yeah, it's big. I mean, we're an inspiration to them, but they're also an inspiration to us a little bit because it's a humbling experience when they look up to you and they want to know everything about you, so it's a nice feeling and you just want to give back to them and help them as much as possible.
This month, Everton in the community celebrates its 36th birthday. In the last 12 months alone, its youth support programmes have reached more than 2,000 people, including these here today.
They've identified themselves as struggling in education, maybe a bit frightened or scared to go out in the evenings, or they just feel not safe in their environment, so they want to come to a safe space to learn stuff, improve what they do in schools.
It's helped me a lot with like my mental health, my physical fitness. It's pretty much a highlight of my week.
We have boxing sessions, we have golf, we have water sports in the summer. We do all sorts of different sports to try and engage as many kids as possible so they're not out, in the streets doing things that they maybe shouldn't.
We approach every game throughout the season with the same mentality of wanting to leave with points. So that'll be exactly the same on Monday in front of I'm sure a lively Goodison, and hopefully we can execute our plan and leave with all three.
And on this evidence, there's still plenty of fight left in this club. Mike Hall, ITV News, Liverpool.
Always impressed by anybody who can put the boxing gloves on, but you've done that before, haven't you?
I have. I used to do a bit of kickboxing. Good stress reliever.
Got to keep on the right side of you.
Thanks a lot, Chris.
Staying clear of that mean right hook, Elaine. Ooh. Now, Sir Paul McCartney has been reunited with his legendary Hofner bass guitar after he went missing more than 50 years ago. The instrument was used on Twist and Shout and She Loves You, and it's thought it was taken from the back of a van in London. A team of researchers have been looking for it, and it was found by the wife of a late guitar collector stored in a loft.
I was actually cataloguing lots of guitars that I've got, and when I Googled it, it immediately came up. That's how I knew. Well, how I thought, maybe this is it. I panicked and then went straight to his house because I knew he lived nearby, and I eventually found it after going through a lot of fields.
What a great find. And staying with great music, we are showcasing Rhea from Bolton, the latest in our Introducing series.
Yeah, the 25-year-old was born in India and has been inspired by the drama and music of Bollywood movies.
Yes, her songs have a storyline about a tumultuous relationship and breakup, which might remind you of someone, Swiftie, although she's not dishing the dirt, but very definitely taking control.
This is Rhea's first single. Her name in Hindi means singer, and she's been blown away by the reaction to her music and live performances.
Just to see so many people resonating to it, it had a viral moment, like over 500,000 views on YouTube. And then the Headingley Stadium gig was unreal. I was like, this is what Beyonce feels like. You know, once you've performed in front of 30,000 people.
Rhea was born in India but left when she was 1 and grew up in Bolton. Her love of Bollywood influences her music and she hopes to inspire a new generation.
Growing up, I didn't see anybody like me in the industry or in the media, and I would love for a young girl to say, oh, I'd like to do that, just because she sees that I'm following my dreams and I'm doing it.
Please don't be offended as you watch me walk away, not this time. And let me tell you why. 24 hours in a day, not enough to let you speak out your mind.
Your songs have a theme of bad relationships, so are you channeling your Taylor Swift? It's not done her any harm?
Absolutely. I mean, that's a huge compliment because she's a fantastic songwriter. Even with the releases I've done so far, they kind of follow a storyline. So starting with Permission, it's about a tumultuous relationship, and then the protagonist realizes she doesn't have to give her time, space and energy to people who don't deserve it. So there's a sassy number on Don't Have the Time with a percussive beat, and then we follow on to Eye for an Eye because she wants revenge, rightly so. She's been wronged.
And Papa always told me it's the ones I love the most who have the power to control me.
The 25-year-old mixes her own music and makes her videos with her brother. Rhea has funding from the charity Youth Music, helping to break down barriers, and is tipped for one to watch in 2024.
I won't stop until I'm selling out my own stadium. So my focus at the moment is just to keep creating art that I'm proud of, keep putting it out there, and stars will align, things happen.
These lessons that I've learned came with sacrifice, and now I've realized an eye for an eye makes the whole world mine.
Yeah, you do manage to find some of the stars of the future,
She's
don't
great,
you?
isn't she? We've been tapping our feet.
Right.
Yes, and you catch more of Rhea on our website and ITVX. And now let's get the weekend weather. Here's Emma.
Why do I need a shower? I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hello there, hope you're enjoying your evening. The weekend is here, I think it's safe to say, and Sunday's looking like the better day of the two in terms of dryness and brightness, but some very wet weather, very windy weather expected on Saturday night. However, staying mild throughout. Now, temperatures for the time of year would normally settle around 7 Celsius, but yesterday we had an exceptionally mild high of 16.5 Celsius in Nantwich, Cheshire. We round the numbers up. And still today and for the next few days, although not quite as mild, it will remain very mild for the time of year. Temperatures are good, 3 or 4 degrees above where they should be or more. So rewinding to the detail now, this is a little occlusion that will bring some low cloud and drizzle overnight. This is the set of fronts that will bring the heavy rain and strong winds on Saturday night, bit of a respite on Sunday, and then things turn more changeable into next week again. Well, they would do. So taking a look at the rest of this evening and the overnight period, it's not putting too fine a point on it to say it's rather grotty across the Isle of Man overnight tonight. Lots of low cloud and mist, drizzle passing through, and indeed some hill fog for many parts of the region. A lot of this mist could cling to these coasts through the Irish Sea for the next 24 to 36 hours. Very mild temperatures and light winds. Into tomorrow then, Saturday, the sun's up at 7:27, sets about 5:25 in the afternoon. And again, it's a pretty cloudy, overcast day. 1 or 2 specks of brightness, but nothing to get too excited about. Some mist and hill fog around as well, and clouding up ahead of this system from the west as it arrives. These temperatures slightly milder than today's values. Heavy rain pushes through, gusts of 30-40 miles an hour through the Irish Sea, breezier everywhere. And there's a warning from 3 o'clock on Saturday till 6 in the evening on Sunday for heavy rain, maybe 40 millimetres in South Cumbria. Bye-bye.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Now, earlier in our chat with Frank Rothwell, he was a little distracted, and here's why.
Hope your ice cream hasn't melted. Yeah, a bit of an emergency. Melting ice cream in the Antigua heat.
Yeah, we think he's earned it after 64 days of rowing. A very good night.
He certainly has. Good night.